Well, here's something new from yet another estate sale. When I say new, I totally do not mean new at all. It is older than dirt. At the very least, it's older than me. This is a General Electric model C4332C. And nothing works at all. I plugged this sucker in at the estate sale, and the motor doesn't move. I get no sound output from the AM/FM weather band radio. So, it's time to take this thing apart and see what we got to deal with. Get a little demonstration here. It lights up, not very brightly, but that's to be expected from something so old. I'm amazed the neon works at all. What you see through that little slot there should be moving. It's about like, it's a spiral basically. So that should be moving, but nothing moves. Now turn the radio on. The back lights up, but I get no audio. That's all I get. It is on FM mode right now. Go to weather mode. I got nothing. You go to AM. And that's about all I get out of that. Which indicates that the AM radio may actually be working. Okay, the AM radio is somewhat working, but weather band and FM don't really want to work. So, we're going to crack the case on this thing and see what's going on inside. Didn't pay anywhere near $8 for the thing. Okay, so we're in. We got a potentiometer for the weather band fine tune over here. We got the time set and the alarm set. And all the function switches are up here. They're all sliding smoothly, but they probably need to be cycled quite a few times before they'll work properly. Looks like the radio is, well, the tuner is underneath the board. So probably won't be able to do much about that, if anything. And then, yeah, it's all looking pretty good up under here, really. All transformers under there. And I can't see if this one's got a gigantic resistor like the other GE I have is, or has. The GE that definitely doesn't work anymore. Alright, where'd my plug go? There you are. Plug in. So the motor not moving at all. There we go, the motor is now moving. And as you can see, it's got that little spirally look to it. It just needed a boost. Yep. So now the clock should work. Now I just need to get the darn radio working. Okay. Let's go on. That turns on. Go to AM. No, that's FM. Sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. I get audio from that, but I'm not getting anything out of the radio itself. I'm not sure what this thing could need, if anything. Weather band's not doing anything either, though. Well, I'm stumped. I have no idea what to mess with to get the AM working. Sorry, FM working. AM's the only one that does work. I don't know why FM is not working. The clock is working, but probably it's like my Panasonic in there. I've got to start the motor every single time I plug it in. Let's find out. Power down. And does it start itself back up? It did. Maybe all I had to do was just de-gum it up. Let it run for a little bit. So we might have a good working clock here, but unfortunately I'm starting to think we're not going to have a working radio here. Might have to tear it down farther and see what we got. Got me a little helper over here. He's just here for the love, though. He ain't gonna help me. I know better than that. Ain't that right? You're just gonna lay here and purr. Yep. Anyway, I pulled this board off now. That's the switch that does the switching from AM to FM to weather band. I'm not sure what the deal is with this thing, since apparently only AM radio is going to work on it. I'm gonna cycle this switch back and forth quite a few times and get my multimeter down there and test it out, but at this point in time it's just not. Whoa, buddy's falling off. Okay, you need to go. I'm trying to move around too much for you, buddy. I'm sorry. Oh, go on. There you go. Okay, let's get the multimeter out here and see if we're even getting continuity on the switch. What in the world? Oh, okay, there we go. I'm going the wrong direction with it. Okay, so there's that. We're not getting any continuity between these tabs over here. Just those two. Alright, let's see what we get up here. Nothing there. Okay, those two are working. And over here. Okay, we should. Well, that by all means says the weather band should be working. And we still got our continuity there. And we got it there. But not here. We shouldn't have it there. Or there. Or there. Right. Okay, so the switch is working. Then that points to it being somewhere else where the problem with this thing lies. And beyond the switches and knobs and all that stuff, I really don't have the first clue what I'm looking for. So I'm just not even going to worry about having AM or FM. I got the AM radio. I keep saying AM radio for some stupid reason. FM radio and weather band are not functional at this time on this radio. I might have to do some research online to see if there's anything I'm overlooking. I mean, I don't think it's the tuner. I don't think it's that right there. That wouldn't make any sense. But I'm not sure what else it could be, so I'm just gonna have to look around. I know basic electronic stuff. I don't know some of the more advanced stuff, like how stuff actually works. Like, I knew enough to get this thing to function on one channel. Like you see, channel A isn't even there. The controller board is gone. That's because when I first got this thing, my dad gave me this about 3 or 4 days ago, and I went to plug it in. Nothing happened at all. It didn't have any lights. I mean, I didn't even hear any noise from the transformer. That, at the time, was because this plug right here was completely unplugged. And that is the main power feed to the entire system. You have the plug going in, and that goes through whatever this thing is down here to the switch. That's the power switch. And from there, it goes to the thermo disconnects, and that basically protects the system from overheating. And then it goes straight to the transformer and out to this cable, which was not plugged into the main board. So I plugged it in, and as soon as I turned it on after I plugged it in, it blew a 10 amp fuse. This thing's supposed to only have a 6 amp fuse in it, so that's not good to begin with. So I basically disconnected every single one of these wires in here and plugged it all back in. I didn't plug anything back in. I plugged this back in right here to the main board without the controller board connected, without the potentiometers or anything else connected. Just the main board by itself, and nothing blew. So I was like, okay. I couldn't get the channel B controller board out because the screws on the back of this thing are stripped. So I just left it in here. Plugged only this cable in and turned it back on again. Nothing blew. Okay, well that's good. So I plugged in this controller board, plugged it in here, and as soon as I turned it on, nothing happened. But if you'll look at the board, this resistor right here burned up. I watched it burn up. It was fine when I turned it on, but then it turned into a red hot flaming mass, and then it burned out. And I'm not sure, but I did some closer looking at this thing later, and I found something else that's a significant problem. If you look down at the main board right there, that is supposed to be a diode. It is broke. So I looked at the circuit diagram for this thing, and I've got that up on here. Yeah, right here. And let's see, here's the board. The one that's blown is 2CR15, which is a 5393 diode. Now I took CR15, and since the diagram itself is actually combined, like they only have one diagram for both sides of the amp, I had to find it. So we got CR15 up here, and if we go back down here, the R42, which is a 47 ohm resistor. And this is controller board here. It's not exactly the same because this is a mine is a Mark V, and this one I think is the original. But that is the right resistor right here. And it's connected to that circuit, so I'm wondering if that resistor blew because CR15 isn't there. Like I said, I don't know enough about the theory of the thing to know what that diode is for, or why the resistor would burn up if that diode wasn't there, if that's even the reason it did. I'm not sure. All I know is, if that is the case, then I can just replace that diode, replace that resistor on the controller board I set down somewhere, and test it again. That's about all I can do. I don't know much more beyond that. I'm not an electronics professional like my dad. Like, maybe he could fix it for me. Nah. He gave it to me. He didn't want to deal with it, so he's probably not going to want to deal with it still. But at least one channel works, and I have it hooked up to my subwoofer back there. It's decent, but honestly, the Alpine amp is more powerful. Well, I don't know if it's more powerful, but it definitely has a lot better gain settings. This thing, you can barely hear it unless I turn the receiver way, way up. And I don't know, low volumes, I like to hear some bass. So I'm probably just going to hook it back into the Alpine for now and just do something else with that one. It's a PVM2600 Mark V. But that's not even what this video is about. It is about this thing that doesn't work. I don't know why I love to go off on tangents so much, but there you go. Nobody's even going to watch this anyway, so what's the point? Well, I did manage to find out that the FM radio is actually working, believe it or not, but not very well. So I decided, since I'm not getting anything out of the entire dial, I'd try to just overpower this thing directly, which I do by turning... I'm talking here. I'm talking here. Yeah, I am. Anyway, I turn on the receiver, and then I have the output of the receiver going up to my transmitter up here, which is running on 107.7. And since it's putting out a full watt of power from right there to right here, I should easily be able to get something out of it. And I did. So, only problem is, the volume is turned all the way up. And it sounds like crap. Seriously. So, like you turn it down just a little bit, still a little scratchy on the potentiometer, but you turn it down, you can barely hear it at all. But it is working, sort of. I messed around a little bit with some of these tuning chucks and it got a little bit louder, but I don't know what I'm screwing up by doing that. Something to do with the RF or IF or something, I don't know. Like, I know just enough to screw something up. Sometimes I get lucky and things fix, but I know just enough to screw something up, basically. That's how I put it. But this radio is kind of neat. It's got its own built-in telescoping antenna and everything, so that's pretty neat. But looks like that's about all I'm going to get out of this thing. The weather band, I can't even get a peep out of it. So Mr. Needy Boy here needs attention, so he's going to get that. I'm going to put this thing back together and just let it be what it is. A pretty accurate flip-clock radio. It's holding time very well. The motor has not stopped once, which is great. I just totally went sideways there. Anyway, that's it. I'm done with this thing. I'm going to put it back together and that'll be the end of all of it.
dead.
Game over, man.
There it goes, let's take off. Öyle bırakalım meydana. Aftaş. I'm shit in the hello, up to the midnight, goes to saying, up for the bring our years. Yeah, God, we never had. All the scroll, I in the scene, and that's all, let's get